If I wrote down word for word what you said like a reporter
Yes.
and put it in a book,
Right?
and it was 100% your word, would you say it's 100% your word?
Yes, if you were accurate, yes.
Now, what if it was 90% accurate, 80% accurate? When do you say, no, that's not what I said? Because every time it got passed down through another person, through another king, they added in more and more stuff for greed, kind of more and more, give me some of your money this month, or, everybody act right, and this is going to like,
Good.
where does that kind of go?
Very good. Okay, now, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written in the first century by the eyewitnesses and by those who knew the eyewitnesses. And there were a lot of eyewitnesses who were still alive, which means there were people around who could say, no, sorry, Jesus did not say that. That's false.
But like always in history, the winners always write, they always write the books. So the Romans kind of put it in there.
Good point. All right, is that true that the winners always write the books?
Like the losers aren't around to tell their story because they're dead.
All right. What about the Jewish people who wrote about the Holocaust? Did the Jewish people win the Holocaust? Well, the Allies eventually won, but obviously the majority of Jews who got gassed, they didn't win nothing. So what's fascinating is to read about the first century Christians. Have you ever heard of the Roman Colosseum? Okay, what happened to Christians in the Roman Colosseum? Slaughtered, martyred. So when you study the first century, what you begin to realize is followers of Christ did not have power. They were being slaughtered. You ever hear of a guy named Emperor Nero of Rome? What did Nero do? Nero took Christians, put them on poles, put tar on them, and lit them to light his gardens. And then he played his harp while Rome burned. So this idea that Christians were in a position of power, and therefore the Gospels are corrupted because the powerful people got their way, it's not true to history. How did Peter die? Nailed to a wooden cross, upside down. How did Paul die, the Apostle Paul? Beheaded by the Romans. How did James, the brother of Christ, die? Thrown from the top of the temple, crushed as he hit the ground. You see, the guys who wrote the New Testament were not the winners. They were the losers. They all got martyred. And yet, even though they were martyred for their faith, they insisted, we saw Jesus, we heard him, we saw him risen from the dead, he is reliable.
I mean, I don't know, my only issue is that, like, if you're a king, you're not going to allow that to happen. If the only reason for them to want to do that is like a human truth, all humans need to be motivated. They need to be comforted. They need to have a reason, a purpose, guidance. So for, like, yeah, I would allow that book to get to my people if I was king or King James or any of them too. Like, so I see why I got passed. I'm just asking you, like, it doesn't make sense. It's too perfect.
Sir, the kings of that time were trying to squash Christianity. Now, in the 1600s, when King James hired Greek scholars and Hebrew scholars to translate the Hebrew Old Testament and the Greek New Testament into English, yes, he was in a position of power. But we don't go back to the King James Version to find out about Jesus. We go back to the Greek New Testament, which was written in the first century, to find out about Jesus. And the Christian church did not get politically powerful until about 320s, when Constantine, the Roman emperor, embraced Christianity. But that was not till the early 300s. In the first, second, and third century, Christians were slaughtered for their faith in Christ.
So if all the important stuff happened when everybody was getting slaughtered and all that was happening, and then everything we look to now for like data happened, whenever Christianity was coming up and getting all important and getting into government, I just don't see how you trust it. Okay, how about another one, the Holocaust?
Yeah.
Is God all-seeing?
Is God all-seeing? Yes, God sees everything.
Is God all good?
Yes, God is all good.
That's my dilemma. Like, how can God be all-seeing and be all good? Like, if he's all-seeing, he's not all good. And if he's all good, he's definitely not all seeing. I mean, look around, like.
Okay, very good question, very hard question. Is it possible that an all-powerful God chose to partially limit his power by giving you and me a free will? Is it possible for an all-powerful God to partially limit his power by giving you and me a free will?
Is his power absolute?
Yes.
Then yeah.
His power is absolute. But as God, he is more than capable of limiting his power by giving you and me a free will.
So did he give up some of his power to give us free will, or did he limit his power?
He limited his power. He didn't give it up. He's still all-powerful, and there will be a day of judgment when he holds us responsible for the wrong decisions we've made. But obviously he limited his power. It's real simple. Slap. Hey, Cliff, why did you slap your son Robert? Because God made me do it. That's a cop-out. God did not make me slap my son. God gave me a free will and a hand. I can love and respect my son, or I can hold back and slap him. And if I say to you, God made me slap my son, I'm a con artist, a charlatan, a liar, and a hypocrite. Does that make sense? You see, it's the whole issue of free will, sir. It's the whole issue of, are you a machine? Are you a computer? Or are you a human being with personhood, with a free will? And I would argue you're not a machine. I would argue you're a person with free will. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I fear the unknown. I've never died. I'm going to die one day. Am I scared of that? Yes, sir, I am. Do I believe there's life after death? Yes, I do now. Why? Is it simply because I'm scared to die that I believe there's life after death? That would be pretty weak intellectually.
That's pretty selfish, like.
Okay, good. So we'll take both of those. Weak intellectually and pretty selfish to believe there's life after death just because I'm scared to die. Okay. Now, when I'm confronted by the historical Jesus of Nazareth, I'm confronted by an historical person who said, believe in me and I will give you eternal life. So what? A lot of crazy people talk like that. But the difference with Jesus is he died, was buried, 3 days later he rose from the dead, and over a period of 40 days he appeared to over 500 people who saw him risen from the dead. They were willing to die, not for their belief. They were willing to die for what they claimed to have seen, the dead Christ risen from the dead. So there is historical evidence that there's life after death. It is the historical resurrection of Jesus Christ. Second issue that you raised is, yeah, but come on, Cliff, your desire to live life after death is just selfishness. Okay, you're right, it could just be selfishness. But wait a second, think. Why don't you go out and play in traffic on I-35? Is it just because you're selfish? No. I would argue you don't go out and play in traffic on I-35 because you affirm the value of your life. And that is good. If you go out and play in traffic on I-35, you are not affirming the value of your life. You're saying, you know, it's just cool to get smashed and run over by a car or a truck. So it's not just selfishness that motivates you to want to have life after death. It is an affirmation of the value of your life. And that is why a follower of Christ ultimately puts their faith in Christ, because Christ affirmed the value of life. Now, what is atheism? Atheism is a culture of death. Because atheism says there's no purpose to life ultimately, morality is relative, and when death occurs, it's the fertilizer pit. And that is why Albert Camus, the great French atheistic existentialist philosopher, wrote a book called The Stranger, L'étranger in French. And the first lines of the book are, a young teenage boy says, yesterday mother died. Or was it today? Who gives a rip when mom dies? Death simply ends the absurdity that birth began. See, that's a culture of death, and I respect Camus. because he's taking his atheism seriously. He's taking it to its logical conclusion. If there is no God, my birth is an accident, my death is an accident, there's no life after death. And guess what lies between those two accidents called my birth and my death? Another accident called my life. And that's why he says, yesterday mother died. Or was it today? Who gives a rip when mom died? Life is an accident, it's absurd, and death simply ends the absurdity that birth began. You see how logically consistent Camus is? That's why, if you think about it, atheism is a culture of death, if you think rationally. Jesus Christ contradicts that culture of death and says, no, God created you to live and to affirm the value of your life, and he offers you life after death, eternal life, when you put your faith in him. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Humans are so good at doing these mental gymnastics. I mean, even in psychology, you can experience something. I mean, you can watch the same movie and then come out of it and see two totally different movies.
Yes.
And like culturally, that has a big effect on you too. Like, if you were somewhere else, you would have been raised growing up believing, oh, you go kill yourself for the cause and you get 21 virgins in heaven, and you think that's right, and you go do it and praise Allah, blah blah, and you think it's all good like that. But over here, you from America? You born here?
Yep. New York City, the Big Apple.
Yeah, Christianity, the white man's religion, all that stuff.
Absolutism is wrong, and everybody is experiencing a different version of reality, and we can't label things. I mean, we can label things as objectively like, okay, violence, bad. Sexism, probably bad. Like anything like that where people are being marginalized, probably bad. Okay, so there are a couple of basic things that's almost not worth mentioning because everyone who is like at a level to be having discussion needs to sort of understand that, and they probably already do. So having understood that there is things that are like, okay, let's not do that because society can't function if people are going and doing things which are accepted as bad, then all of that aside, people's beliefs and stuff, whatever, shouldn't be, I don't know, they shouldn't be ranked.
But just please be honest enough to acknowledge you are being exclusivistic, you are being imperialistic, you are being colonialistic, because you're saying the truth is that all cultures are relative. Nobody has the truth, and you're advocating that the way to world peace is for everybody to wake up, smell the coffee, and realize that their absolute claims are false, that it's all culturally relative. So just please acknowledge what you're doing. And let's not act like, oh no, it's only the Muslims and the Christians or the Hindus who are being absolutist. You're being absolutist by saying cultural relativism is true. And all these people who make these absolute claims, be they Muslim, Jew, Christian, are wrong.
Okay, the Nahuatl Aztecs and their multi-deity belief system, where Teotl, which is like the God element, I suppose, to put it in terms that relate back to Christianity, flows through everything. Are they wrong? Their thing is completely different from all of that. And they just go about and they did their own thing, and their civilization came and went and is alive in certain pockets, and those people have a right to just exist without other people thinking that like they were somehow better than them because there is a hierarchy and ranking.
So are you saying that the Aztecs have a right not to have you as a white American tell them that their cultural relativism is true and their beliefs are untrue?
Can we go down the road of cultural, or just absolutism in general, and talk about where do you get that from? Like, where you get your I would assume from the Bible, right?
No. First of all, I think rationally. I try to. I don't always succeed, but I think rationally.
Okay.
And so I understand that if you're a cultural relativist, you're making a truth claim. And that truth claim is, truth in any absolute sense does not exist, except my truth that everything's relative. So you see, cultural relativism is self-refuting.
I'm asking.
It's contradicting itself.
I'm asking you if your viewpoint comes from a point of like absolutism. Where do you get your absolutes from?
I'm saying everybody who makes a truth claim is making an absolute.
You're making a truth claim, he's making a truth claim.
That's right, and you're making a truth claim. That's correct. We all make truth claims. So let's not act like some of us are exclusivistic and imperialistic and colonialistic, and others of us are just open-minded. That's baloney. If you're a cultural relativist, you are contradicting the vast majority of humanity, who believe that there is one God, or many gods, or no God. And you're saying, guess what, bud? It doesn't matter, it's all relative. So that's quite a claim you're making.
But how is that refuting
just
them?
Just realize you're making quite a claim.
Is it? I mean, is it absolute? I mean, you're saying it's self-refuting in the sense that like you have to have some sort of like absolute foundation in order to believe in cultural relativism. Is what you're saying?
No, I'm not
right?
saying that. I'm simply saying if you're going to stand out here and maintain cultural relativism, you're making a truth claim.
Which is
you're saying the Muslims are not absolutely right, the Christians are not absolutely right, the Marxists are not absolutely right, the nihilists are not absolutely right. It's all relative, which means you all just create it in your head. That's what you're saying. Fine, I respect your right to say that, but intellectually, I argue you're a hypocrite if what you're going to insist is, but I'm not imperialistic, I'm not colonialistic. When I go to Aztecs or Muslims or Christians and tell them, you're wrong, cultural relativism is right.
But
Now,
I'm
you can
not
do
telling
that.
anyone that they're wrong. I'm just saying, why can't they all exist in a non-ranked system? Why
A
can't they
cultural
all...
relativist is saying the absolutist, be they Muslim, Jew, Christian, is wrong. There's no absolute truth.
She's making a claim. She's making a claim of why they can't exist together. She's not making a claim of
why does it
No,
have
no,
to
no,
be
no.
a hierarchical?
Followers of
This
Christ,
belief is wrong.
when they
this
follow
is...
Christ, have no option but to respect atheists, Muslims, Jews, cultural relativists. If I'm going to follow Jesus, I have no option but to respect cultural relativism.
I feel like you need to define your terms because you keep using that word.
Okay, what don't you understand?
The cultural relativism, as you
all right, let me
understand
define it. Cultural relativism means your culture defines your reality a particular way, and you buy into it.
Like, I mean, I don't buy into this, and this is the culture that I'm surrounded by.
I want to play devil's advocate for just 1 second.
No. Let's not play devil's advocate. Let's be sincere. What do you believe?
No, I just want to say, if we go down if we go down like the logical chain of like, let's say we are cultural relativists,
Yes.
or let's say like even more broadly that all beliefs are. It's different from person to person, so there's no like objective source of like belief. And I would assume you would say from that is like, well, that means that you can't tell somebody that they can't kill, or that means that they can't tell somebody to do horrible things, whatever. I would assume. I don't want to like straw man, but
Tell me what you believe.
Well, I'm just asking if that's correct.
No, it's not correct. So just tell me what you believe, and I'll respond to what you believe.
I'm trying to go down like this logical progression.
What's the logical progression?
It was let's assume that more broadly, like getting out of like specifically like in culture. Let's just talk relativism just in general in terms of like morality. What is the problem I would assume that the problem you have with relativism is if somebody says that everybody's beliefs, what they should ought not do, it's all just based on opinion. And I would assume your problem with that would be, well, then you can't tell somebody that murder is wrong or something like that. Is that correct?
Please don't assume anything. State your
I'm
position,
asking.
and I'm going to respond to you. But please state your position, and I'll respond. Go ahead.
He's asking you a question
I'm
and
asking
asking you to give your...
No. He's setting up a scenario and then asking me to jump in the scenario. And I'm asking you, make your statement.
I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha.
No, it's okay.
Because I use a term. I'm an elitist in my ideas, but I'm an egalitarian when it comes to the worth of each person.
Yeah.
There's ideas out there that are really bad. In this country, we've realized that theocracies, they get a little messy after a while. So we have this idea of separation of church and state. We have the idea of free speech, that we want to protect that. We want to have these ideas. But I was arguing with this young lady that nihilism as an idea lived out is horrible. It's a bad idea when you take it to its logical conclusion.
Talking about nihilism?
Nihilism. Thank you, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a nihilist, but...
Right, good. Thank you. I'm glad you're not.
So what do you believe and why?
What do I believe in what context? Like terms of morality? In terms
What do you believe about Jesus Christ, and why do you believe that?
I don't believe that the Bible is true.
Okay, why?
Because I think that there is demonstrable evidence, and the fact that shows that it is not true.
Give me one piece of evidence that the Bible's not true.
No, I'm not. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that.
What do you mean you said you don't trust the Bible?
There's a difference.
And it's demonstrably false.
There's a difference between me making a claim, showing it's true, and you making a claim and not living up to your.
Well, what's the claim I've made with you?
That the Bible's true, right?
And when did I say that to you?
Because you're a Christian, right? So you believe
Well,
the Bible's
so
true.
what?
So
Lots of Christians believe lots of different things.
It's your evidence that you have to bring forward because you're saying, hey, X exists or X is true. Show me.
Ask me, Cliff, why do you think the Bible's reliable?
Why do you think the Bible's reliable?
Thank you for raising that excellent question. I am convinced that the New Testament is reliable.
Only the New Testament.
This is the New Testament.
Why? Why? Because if you negate
Why? Because
the
I'm out
rest
here
of
talking
it,
about Jesus Christ, and you read about Jesus in the New Testament. You don't read about him in the Old Testament.
Didn't he
So-
say that he didn't come to abolish the law but fulfill it?
Oh, very good. We'll get to that. But we first have to establish his credibility. And his credibility is put forth beautifully in the New Testament. So the question right now is, why would I trust the New Testament to give me accurate information about Jesus?
Yeah.
Because I have tests that I use on any document that claims to be historical. My tests are foreign number. If you don't like my tests, no problem. I just want to hear your tests of how you decide whether a document's historically reliable or not. So my 4 tests are literary style, literary genre, archaeological evidence, manuscript evidence, and internal consistency. And when you take those 4 tests and apply them to the New Testament, they pass with flying colors. So I'm convinced you can get an accurate historical picture of Jesus by reading the New Testament.